This podcast is supported by FX's English Teacher, a new comedy from executive producers of What We Do in the Shadows and Baskets. English Teacher follows Evan, a teacher in Austin, Texas, who learns if it's really possible to be your full self at your job while often finding himself at the intersection of the personal, professional, and political aspects of working at a high school. FX's English Teacher is now streaming on Hulu. All new Mondays on FX.
My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Upgrade your business with Shopify, home of the #1 checkout on the planet. Shop Pay boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning fewer carts going abandoned and more sales going cha-ching. So if you're into growing your business, get a commerce platform that's ready to sell wherever your customers are. Visit shopify.com to upgrade your selling today.
Hey everyone, welcome to this edition of Keep Watch Pass on the It's Not That Bad podcast channel, a proud member of the Pantheon Podcast Network. Now, I recognize that by the time you're listening to this episode, you've probably had a week or two already to acclimatize to the new school year if you happen to be in school and a fan of this show. So we have gotten past the initial trauma of summer being over and back to school. And here to join me is my vice principal of the show, my lovely wife, Carrie. Carrie, how are you doing?
Oh, VP.
That's right. The VP who is the VIP of the show.
Wow, thank you. That's so nice.
Okay, so I ask you first, as a parent versus being when you were younger, who enjoys back to school more, the kids or the parents?
Oh my God, that's a no-brainer. Woohoo! Yes. Oh my gosh. This is a quiet house for at least, 6 hours of the day.
This is exactly like that commercial. I think it was like a Staples commercial where like the parents are running around the aisles going, "It's the most wonderful time of the year." No, we are going back to school for this episode, meaning that we're talking about films that are set in school. Not just that, hey, there's a school in the background. They have to be set in the school. So it doesn't necessarily mean that it's from the teacher's perspective or from the student's perspective. That remains to be seen, but it has to be a school-related film. And what we're going to do is we're going to pick 3 films each: a keep, a watch, and a pass. The keep is the one that scores the perfect grade A. The watch is one that, it's still the college pass. And the pass is one that you might want to rethink doing the year again. So, Carrie, over to you. Your keep back to school film.
Well, I just have to say that following the rules made it extraordinarily tough because it basically disallowed some of my absolute favorite movies in the world. Mm-hmm. And as you know, Pump Up the Volume happens loosely at a school, mostly
school adjacent,
outside of.
Yes.
So, I couldn't pick that. But we've talked about that movie before, so I'm okay. Oh, there was another one. Of course, One Crazy Summer. When you think about the summer being over and I just really wanted to address that movie because, come on. But because it happened in the summer, couldn't pick it. But now that we're back in school and the daily grind of, everyone needs a day off, right? And Ferris Bueller's Day Off is without a doubt my absolute favorite school movie. Not only is it a how-to of how to take the most successful sick day, the most effective sick day plan of any high school student, but it's just, this movie is freaking iconic, right? Like so incredibly quotable. Ferris's, life is fast, and if you don't stop to enjoy it, you're going to miss out. And Bueller, oh my God. This movie, without a doubt, absolute. I'm watching probably yearly.
I have to quote the wonderful Edie McClurg. The kids think that Ferris is a righteous dude.
Yeah, right?
This is a fantastic cast. I mean, Alan Ruck as Cameron, the best friend for Ferris Bueller. Mia Sara. Like, when I think of Mia Sara, this is the first film that comes to mind. The only other one that comes to mind immediately, of course, is Legend, that being one of her first roles. And of course, you have a young Jennifer Grey here around the time of Dirty Dancing. Like, it's a fantastic film, and the fact that it's Ferris trying to avoid the principal as well. It is very much, and this, of course, being one of the best John Hughes films out there. And the fact that the post-credit scene led to the post-credit scene in the first Deadpool film, hells yeah. I mean, you're right. If you end up being parodied in Deadpool, you did well. I don't know how many other movies from the 80s are as influential in other avenues, because there's the band Save Ferris, because of course, like, the people are taking the donations to save Ferris Bueller. There was a TV show that was based off of this afterwards. Like, it really did solidify 80s cool kid culture. Everyone watched this film.
Hey there, busy parents. Christian Swain here, the rock and roll archaeologist. I know just how stressful family dinners can be, from planning and shopping to actually getting everyone to enjoy what you made. But I've got some good news for you. HelloFresh totally gets it too. They're making dinner easier and more enjoyable with fresh ingredients and recipes that even picky eaters love, delivered right to your door each week. I've been using HelloFresh for a while now, and let me tell you, their new Build-A-Plate meals are a game changer. Imagine not having to make multiple dinners to satisfy everyone's tastes. And with so many options, each member of my family gets to build their perfect plate from just one meal. No more, I don't want this at the dinner table. Just happy faces and clean plates. Plus, with HelloFresh, I don't have to worry about meal planning or grocery store runs. Their easy-to-follow recipes with pre-portioned ingredients save me so much time, especially now that school's back in session. And here's the best part. Right now, kids eat free. Go to HelloFresh.com/PantheonKids to unlock this exclusive offer. That's one free kids meal per box for 2 months while your subscription is active. So, what are you waiting for? Head to HelloFresh.com/PantheonKids. HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Upgrade your business with Shopify, home of the #1 checkout on the planet. Shop Pay boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning fewer carts going abandoned and more sales going cha-ching. So if you're into growing your business, get a commerce platform that's ready to sell wherever your customers are. Visit Shopify.com to upgrade your selling today.
For my pick, I don't think it's any stretch to go out on a limb and say John Hughes made the best school-based films of the 80s. So I'm going with a different John Hughes film. I'm going with The Breakfast Club. This is quintessential 80s film viewing. And the fact of the matter is that this film, and John Hughes did this very well, in that basically take a day and turn that into a film. That was Ferris Bueller's Day Off. It was all set in one day. They did a ton of in one day, mind you, but it's all set in one day. With The Breakfast Club, it's all set in one Saturday with 5 students who are stuck in detention in the library, and allows those students, those actors, the time to develop their characters. So you really got to know each and every single one of them and gave them the space to explore their character. You have 5 complete character arcs in one film set in one day. It feels like a stage play brought to the screen, and it's fantastic. It is absolutely fantastic. Although I have one beef. I have one beef with this film. Ali Sheedy looked better before the makeover. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. But The Breakfast Club, this really was quintessential. This was quintessential weekend viewing on TBS. Guaranteed it was going to play on TBS, on a Saturday or a Sunday, regardless. Admittedly, sensitive for television, because there are some potty words in there. I get that. But I don't know anyone who grew up in the 80s and didn't walk across a football field and hold their hand up and start singing "Don't You Forget About Me," because that is the perfect way to end a film. For my watch film, I'm also going with another high school based film, one that deals with the end of a high school year and may have one of the greatest 90s soundtracks of all time. Talking Dazed and Confused. First of all, let's talk about the soundtrack here. To me, the Dazed and Confused soundtrack, which is one of those ones that's basically made up of a bunch of songs that were released prior. This wasn't songs made for the film, but it was the ultimate 70s rock soundtrack. And you have to think that a soundtrack like this kind of influenced soundtracks made by Quentin Tarantino and James Gunn especially. But the reason why it's a watch and not my keep, one actor, one character in this is Mitch, played by Wiley Wiggins. Now, I don't want to stomp on him on this one here, because I don't like to stomp on him, but I'm going to give you a Dazed and Confused drinking game. And by the end of the film, you will be as drunk as everyone at that tequila sunrise party in the film. Every time Mitch touches his nose, take a shot. You may not make it to the end credits. I'm sorry, but now you're going to try it, and I take zero responsibility for this hashtag Mitch's nose shot challenge. I'm sorry. That's why we're not on TikTok, because people would die if they tried to do this challenge. But Dazed and Confused, fan-freaking-tastic film. All right, Carrie, what is your watch movie?
Well, I am going back to school and writing about it, because I am going with Drew Barrymore's Never Been Kissed. Undercover journalist back in the halls of school. Yeah, and you know what? And reliving, right? Like how incredibly awful high school can be. So it was a fun movie and definitely watchable.
I mean, you take a look at some of the films that came out around that time when it comes to Drew Barrymore. 1999 was only Never Been Kissed, but in 98 you had Ever After and The Wedding Singer. The year after you had Charlie's Angels. Now, admittedly, 2 years after Never Been Kissed, there was also Freddie Got Fingered, but we're gonna just we're gonna let that one go. We'll let that one go. But really, there were some fantastic films from Drew Barrymore in the 90s. I mean, you also had Boys on the Side, you had Mad Love, you had her small appearance in Batman Forever. Of course, she had a small appearance in Wayne's World 2. Like, Drew Barrymore, but this film, she may have been, and I don't mean to say this in a condescending or like lecherous kind of way. I don't think she was cuter in any other film in the 90s than she was in Never Been Kissed.
The Wedding Singer, she was adorable.
Okay, I'll give you that one.
Oh, and Confessions of a Dangerous Mind.
Okay,
when she played like hippie chick.
Okay, but that was released in 2002, so okay. that allows me to remove that one. But she was cute, but she was adorable in Never Been Kissed. I'll agree with you with The Wedding Singer. I absolutely will. But she was adorable in Never Been Kissed.
Drew is always adorable.
Well, yes.
Even now today on her own show, she is just, you know what? If there is one actor or actress in Hollywood that I could honestly feel like she could be my absolute best friend and we could just sit and talk about anything, it would be Drew Barrymore.
Well, see, now we just need to get you on the Drew Barrymore show so you two can hang out.
Right? We could be besties.
There you go.
Okay, Drew, call me.
Right? But the thing is, the fact that Drew Barrymore not only is a fantastic actress and, has had such a career arc, right? And I know, like, she's put out clips from her show where she said, like, she never thought she'd be the kind of person that people would ever look up to. Well, sorry, Drew, people do look up to you because you are that awesome and you do have a phenomenal body of work. Kudos to you for really succeeding in Hollywood. But now we get to our pass films. So, Carrie, what back to school film are you passing on?
I almost don't want to answer this because I don't want to cause a fight with you. But my pass is your keep.
What?
Yeah. The Breakfast Club is, you know what? I found it plodding. I totally get, building the whole character arc and bringing these 5, otherwise this group of misfits that would never, ever communicate, and be civil enough to get along for a day in detention. But I just found again, because there wasn't much to it. There's 5 kids and a principal in a detention hall, and that's it. Aside from, there were a few, outside scenes, but you know what? I think I found it plodding. I do get the whole character building and I appreciate that, but I found it plodding myself. I found it boring. I wanted more.
Okay. I'm gonna throw something at you here. Okay. And I want you to really consider this, because I recognize that you are a lover of live theater, whether it be musical or otherwise. So I ask you, if someone said Breakfast Club, the stage play, would you be more interested in that? Because I will admit that there are points in this film that do feel like they are a stage play brought to the screen.
I would 100%, because again, it feels like that's how it was intended, right? A stage play, you can kind of say, okay, they have limited space to work with, limited backdrops and props to work with, right?
Mm-hmm.
Limited space. But in a movie, you want more. Again, there was the running through the halls and creating debauchery, and I get, right? But it just, to me, this is a movie. Ferris Bueller was a constant trip. It was a roller coaster from start to finish, especially right at the end where he's trying to get home before his parents and the principal is trying to intercept and impede, that from happening. And then his sister gets involved and it just becomes so much going on and there's so much. And then, I don't know, the Breakfast Club is just okay, again, I get that it's a bonding experience of 5 teenage kids that otherwise would have never been friends. But I wanted more. I don't know. It bored, not bored me, but I found it plodding enough that it didn't excite me. The opposite of bored.
I will point out that in 2004, there was actually a stage play parody done of the film. And that happened in New York. And I wonder, and I don't know if one exists, so you have to bear with me here. I wonder what it would have been like to actually see at the Minnesota Fringe Festival, The Breakfast Club, the musical, because that also happened in 2018. I think The Breakfast Club is ripe for a musical. You can take the stories and you can add an 80s flavored score to it and put 80s flavored songs throughout and basically retell the story through song and through dance. Because yes, there was that dance scene in The Breakfast Club. I wouldn't be surprised if a Breakfast Club the musical went from fringe to touring play.
Yes, and again, I could get behind that, but as a movie, it fell short.
Fair enough. And just because a film is my keep in your past doesn't mean that you're right.
I don't know. It
I'm
was
just saying, you know.
a film about detention, but it lost my attention.
All right.
Womp,
Womp. All right. So I don't want to say my pass right now because I fear I will upset you.
Woo! It's almost like we coordinated this. Which one of my movies are you on?
Actually, it's not one of your movies. I'm picking a film that I know stars an actor that you like his films. And I'm going with Billy Madison, starring Adam Sandler.
Killing me. We'll have words.
Oh, we're gonna words after this. No, but seriously, this film feels like a bad Saturday Night Live sketch dragged on for way too long. Now, that being said, if you did Billy Madison as a Saturday Night Live sketch and you did it in like 3-minute, 4-minute kind of segments where we come back and he's in kindergarten and then the next week he's in like grade 1 and then you kind of build up from there, then okay, you know what? Maybe as a Saturday Night Live sketch, Billy Madison could work. But as a film, nah. And I feel really bad for Bridget Wilson Sampras because, you know, she was just getting started in films. Like, you know, her debut was in Last Action Hero, which even though the film qualifies and wasn't necessarily well received, I think Last Action Hero was just a ton of fun. And then, of course, she was in Mortal Kombat, which, you know, even though it wasn't well received, it's got a bit of a cult following. But I mean, I feel bad for anyone who takes a look at Bridget Wilson Sampras and all of a sudden goes, want to touch the hiney because of freaking Billy Madison. It feels like a weird Tom Green sketch. And meh.
There's a whole list of Saturday Night Live movies that should have just remained sketches.
Yeah, but this was never a Saturday Night Live sketch. I think it would have worked better as a sketch on Saturday Night Live as opposed to a full movie. I mean, yes, and I've admitted on this podcast before that I am not the biggest Adam Sandler fan. This film bordered on annoying AF for me. Not as much as Little Nicky.
Oh, killing me.
But Billy Madison doesn't do him any favors, at least in my book. I know there are fans out there, and please don't ever sit there and say, well, this podcaster said he didn't like Billy Madison, so him. You know what? Yeah, like what you like. And I'm going to like what I like, and I'm going to dislike what I dislike. And we're all good because one person's opinion should never sway anyone else's opinion.
See, we could still love each other even though we don't see eye to eye on The Breakfast Club. We don't see eye to eye on many movies. I think that's why he keeps inviting me back, friends, because I always pick the movies that you like, and I find something wrong with them, or vice versa.
Which is going to make our listeners really wonder how the hell we ever agree on a film to go out to. Like, it's a good thing we've been married. Can you imagine, like, you know, like early dating days? It's like, what if we go see this film? Oh, that's a deal breaker for me. We're out. No, we've been together very long enough. Clearly, we love movies in general. We can go see anything as long as we're together. That is the main thing. But Carrie, even though you're wrong on your past, I'm gonna let you remind our listeners what your keep, watch, and unfortunate past films are.
Wow. Okay. I am keeping Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I am watching Never Been Kissed and passing on Breakfast Club, so you can go watch that by yourself.
Okay. Wow. All right. I am going to keep The Breakfast Club from myself, apparently. I'm going to watch Dazed and Confused. I'm going to pass on Billy Madison. So there. Carrie, thank you so much for this. And dear listeners, you guys know the drill. If there's a topic that you want us to cover on Keep, Watch, Pass, or a movie that you want us to cover on It's Not That Bad, hit us up on social media at Not That Badcast or go to our website at notthatbadcast.com. And while you're there, make sure you drop us a line. We'd love to hear from you guys. Until next time, she's Carrie, I'm Jay. You guys are awesome. This is Keep, Watch, Pass on the It's Not That Bad podcast channel, a proud member of the Pantheon Podcast Network. Happy school year, everyone. Take care.